Good evening. We find ourselves resuming roughly where we left off. I just need to remember how to play this game. As I recall, I need a deck that's very good at, spamming Thundaga. So I'm just gonna keep doing that until I encounter a boss. Or something that I might suspect would be a boss, and then I'll switch to the deck that uses Antetsukin a lot. Looks like I gotta go all the way to the other end of the map to, presumably use the thing that I've got. That, or, I have to find some way into this room. I'm not sure. Or into this room. I'm not sure. No, it's this one. Okay. I didn't actually know that I could use that to check which doors were which until I did it just then. Exactly 6. I don't know if this is going to be a boss fight or not, so I'm going to switch to my other deck first, just in case. It's probably the one with the organization heart that's a boss fight, but I'll find out. There she is. Peter Pan? Wendy, are you okay? I've come to rescue you with my 3 assistants. Come on, let's get off this ship and go explore Neverland. We'll never grow up. Listen, Peter, there's something I've got to tell you. I want to go home to London. What are you talking about? Stay here in Neverland and you can be a kid forever. Every day will be an adventure. If you go back to London, you'll stop being a kid. You'll grow up and we'll never see each other again. I know, Peter, but I still want to go home. I came to rescue you, and you don't care if you ever see me again. No, you don't understand. Suit yourself, and while you're at it, rescue yourself. I'm leaving. And that's why we don't want to be a kid forever, because you start having thoughts like that. Hey, wait a minute. There he goes. Peter. Not very thoughtful, is he? What do we do now? Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we think of something after we get to the deck? What kind of idea is that? But you do have a point. Well, there's still trouble waiting outside. Wendy, you stay here. We'll try to create a distraction. Okay, I understand. Maybe if you stay here, Peter will change his mind and come back. I imagine that there's going to be like a boss fight against Captain Hook through the other door. Where am I? All the way upright until I can go upright no more. It's nice when you have a map that actually, like, works. I keep forgetting which buttons do what. This is expensive. But that's okay. I just need to spend cards. Eat to truth. Let's go. We finally made it out. There you are, you rascals. I'll teach you to stow away on Captain Hook's vessel. Friends of Peter Pan, I'll wager. Are we his friends? He sure didn't seem to think so. Yeah, the way he took off like that, he even ditched Wendy. I've not finished talking yet. How dare you ignore me and plot behind my back? Uncivilized brats, you're in cahoots with Peter Pan, no mistake. If you say so, either way you're gonna let us off this ship. And Wendy's coming with us. Think again, you scallywags. Hook's one step ahead of you. I mean, that will get her off the ship. Wendy? Any trouble if Wendy swims with the sharks? You wouldn't. Believe me, I'd rather not. After all, I need Wendy to lure out that blasted Peter Pan. Then I'll just have to take the bait, you old codfish. Peter, here I am, Hook. Miss me? Insolent pup, today is the day you pay for taking my hand. Uh-oh. Whoa. You've made a fool of me for the last time, Pan. I'll skewer the lot of you. Nope, get Santetsukin, nerd. I just realized that I've got no healing in this deck. That might be an issue. But again, if you can't do anything... Oh no. This is fine. I think he has that many cards left. Yeah, I need to put at least one healing card in my deck. Whoops. Mistakes were made. I got like 6 points spare. Hold on. What's the cheapest heal I have? I can just take Jafar out entirely, honestly. I think maybe in my head I expected potions to also heal damage. That'll do. Alright, let's try this again. The reason I wanted the elixir is because it brings back my attack cards. It does. No, it brings them back. Just getting all this dialogue. There we go. Try it. Getting 3 discards at once is fun. But it doesn't have to be 3 at a time. As long as you get the timing right. By all means, spend them. Rude. I should probably be saving my elixirs for... oh. For my potions, my elixirs for after I've burnt cards rather than when I just want to quick reload. This probably isn't as efficient as just blocking him, but I really want to leave him with nothing. Oh, shoot, well. Also, yes, that's why I've been trying to send Tuscan Slides in particular. Doesn't have that many cards left. As long as I have at least one attack, I can be like, no. like that. Oh, well, there goes mine. That wasn't a proper break, I think. I shouldn't have put that one up. Oh well. Okay, I don't think I did it quite as proficiently as I would have liked. But I think this still counts. I could do technically 2 more Centessicans if I really wanted to. Which I probably won't do unless I see him trying to load more cards for slights. I say and then immediately start loading it. Like a dummy. Oh, he's dead. I wasn't even looking at his health. That was fun. I like shenanigans. Oh, thank you for the head pats. Thanks, Peter. We owe you one. Except for the part where you did absolutely nothing at all, and I kind of cut his second half. Well, at first I thought I'd let you handle the situation, but I couldn't just stand by when things got out of hand. It looks like I might have underestimated you, though. You did good. Look, Mundy, about London. Are you sure you won't change your mind? Peter, I'm sorry, but I really want to go home. I was afraid of that. Everybody grows up, and grown-ups always forget. First you'll forget what it feels like to be a kid, and then you'll forget about me. How can you say such a thing, Peter? I'll never ever forget you. Sure, that's what you think now. But when you try to remember me, the memories will be gone. You'll forget, little by little, one memory at a time. Once you're grown up, there won't be a single memory left. Don't say that. Memories, even important ones, don't come back to us whenever we want them to. But that doesn't mean that the memories are gone. It's more like they're sleeping. So when the right thing comes along and wakes the memory up, we can remember it. The memories engraved in our hearts never go away. I'm sure of it. He's right, Peter. Never, huh? It's funny. Grown-ups shouldn't be able to see me anymore. But I have a feeling you guys just might be different. Sora is like 9. Donald and Goofy, though, they're grown up, yeah. Okay, Sora, if you say that we'll meet again, then I believe you. Oh, Peter. Let's go, Wendy. London is waiting. Goodbye, Sora. I'll be waiting to see what you look like all grown up. What's the matter, Tink? This must be a gift from Peter. Maybe he's not such a thoughtless guy after all. Owl? Another gift from Peter? What's the big idea? there's literally no explanation for that, just Muggles are like this. I feel like that if there was gonna be a reward there, it should have been there. Whatever. Ooh, Rico. Can't take a hint, can you? Leave, Sora. I'm not leaving until I rescue you and Naminé. What makes you think that I need rescuing? Then think of Kairi. Oh, sorry, I didn't forget Kairi. Okay. Then think of Kairi. She wants you to come home, too, don't you remember? You're the one forgetting. I told you to take care of her. At Kingdom Hearts when we closed the door to darkness. Give it up, Sora. I'm not going back to the islands and you're not changing my mind. It's not just Kairi, what about the rest of our friends? You can have them. I've read about those losers ages ago. Listen to yourself. What about you, Sora? Do you even remember what they all look like? Of course I... Don't feel bad. That's what this castle does to you if you stay too long. You forget all the useless stuff and remember for the first time what really matters. I remembered it, Sora, the one thing most important to me. I'm staying here to protect Naminé. Nothing else matters. Hey, Riku. Mind if I jog your memory? Go ahead and try. Try it. Like a Sora's like, gotcha! Like you've activated my trap card. Yes, please, keep using slides. Okay, he uses an elixir so he gets back all of the cards that I got in half, but that's fine. I'll just cut them again.
Heal. Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Having trouble finding cards, Riku? Oh, he does have another elixir. Oh, I'm stunned. I wonder if I can interrupt his elixir so so that he doesn't get it off.
Heal.
I've only got 2 attacks of my own left, so I can't do another Zen test game without reloading. That no longer applies.
Here. Here. Here.
I am in fact using the L0 stack, don't worry.
Here. Here.
I'm really watching out for that elixir of his, because if he uses it, it undoes all of my progress.
Here! Here!
He's being very annoying with the jumping away, though.
Here! 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 Here!
I think he's not gonna try any more slides
Here!
until he at least elixirs. So I should probably just start cutting his other cards. Or at least I try, except he keeps stunning me right when the moment to cut them happens.
Here! 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 Gotcha!
I think he got it off.
Heal!
But he's got another elixir, that's... yeah. Shenanigans, I say.
Gotcha! 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 Here! 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 Here!
I didn't actually use that so early. Oh well.
Here! 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 Here!
Elden Ring PvP be like.
Gotcha!
No elixir for you. Did I do it? I think I might have done it.
Gotcha! Gotcha!
I feel like he might be pulling extra cards that don't exist out of nowhere.
Here! Here!
In my defense, I didn't want to use the potion like that, it's just the controls in this game are more than a little janky.
Gotcha! Gotcha! Here!
Having difficulty, Riku? I know that you're challenged, lad. He's got no elixirs left because I cut them all in half. You really do be jumping. He's like flicking through his deck looking for something good and then having to reload. That's funny. He's got like 4 or 5 cards left. He's got like 3 or 4 cards left.
Heal! Heal! Gotcha!
There goes this last high value card. The worst part about this is I know that he's going to, have no cards left and then just spam jumps. Which is going to be really annoying.
Heal.
There's gonna be an awful lot of just
Gotcha.
chasing him down. I think he's got like one card left. He's got three cards left. 2 cards left. If you think about it, I'm basically lobotomizing Riku, given that like cards are memories in this setting. He's like, wait, I got something. Yeah, chasing him down at the end of all this is gonna be annoying. I probably won't go this far with most fights in the future. I just really want to completely deck out at least one guy.
Heal.
I think he might actually be pulling new 0 cards out of his bum by now. Because I think I've cut too many in half for him to have started with. I mean, it's left him with vanishingly little that he can do, but like...
Heal.
Alright, I'll do one more sand test again. Once I'm not stunned anymore, and then I'll just like start beating him to death. Because I don't want to run out of my own cards.
Here. Here. Heal. Here. Here. Goofy. Come on. Here. 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 Here.
Oh, well, I was really hoping I could get him to just like completely deck out. But I'll settle for this.
Here. 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 Here.
Like, there's not much he can do to me unless he gets like one of his random stuns.
Here. 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 Here.
I don't need 9s in the deck.
Donald. Here.
0 cards are just as good for spam.
Here!
Especially since he's standing 0 and he could just like interrupt my 9s anyway.
Here! 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 Here!
See, this is what I thought would happen.
Here!
He's just gonna spend like a long time
Here! Here!
just being like, no, you're not actually allowed to deal damage.
Here! 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 Here!
And he's dead. And lobotomized. Basically, the plots of the following games are because of this one fight, I choose to believe. Grr. Too bad, Sora. Nothing's coming back to me. I wonder why. Maybe we should try hitting a little harder. No, that's enough. Come on, Riku. Let's quit pushing each other around to go help Namine. What, together? That is so like you. You're always trying to worm your way into my heart. Whoa, time out. When did I ever do that? Huh, you probably forgot. It never mattered to you how I felt. That sounds like the sort of thing that a jilted lover would say. I won't let you push me away. Learned Warpinator. That Riku is so stubborn. Has he always been like that? Yes. Once you help Riku get his memories back, he'll make up in no time. We won't. Riku's just kind of an asshole. Heh, I know exactly how you feel. Don't get your hopes up. Nobody's can't be somebody's. But think, Namine, I'm sure there's something you could do. Why? I don't get it. We both want the same thing. We both want to help Namine, so why are we fighting? I mean, Riku and I have bumped heads over stuff in the past. That's for sure. Well, the more you fight, the closer you must be. Yeah, I know, but Riku doesn't seem to feel that way. Have a little faith, Sora. You guys used to be inseparable, right? You, Riku, and Kai... And, what's her name? This is awful. Our memories are fading fast. We better hurry, Sora. I'm sure you and Riku can talk things out. You're probably right. After all, the three of us were never apart. Me, Riku, and Namine. What? That's weird, I can't think of her name. It'll be real nice when you, Riku, and Namine can laugh together again. I'll do Atlantica because it would feel weird not doing Hollow Bastion last. Gorsh, this looks like the bottom of the sea. It sure does, so how come we can breathe? Beats me. Maybe somebody cast a spell on us? It's just like breathing air. But it's not air, see? Somebody's swimming this way. If anybody asks, you didn't see me. What? Sorry, I don't have time to explain. Just promise you won't out of my bones. There can only be one Ariel. But I live, so it's me. Thank you for the head pats. Sorry, I don't have time to explain. Just promise you won't tell. Hey, what's that sparkling thingy you got there? Oh, nothing at all. Remember, you didn't see me. She was hiding something. Where would she have hidden something, Sora? She's mostly naked. I wonder what it was. A very load-bearing mostly indeed. I forgot to take off my Zantetsuken deck. Whoops.
Here. Here.
I'll just club them to death. Slash Zantetsuken them.
Gotcha. Here. 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 Here.
And they're dead. You had to get another white row. Those cards seem really common. It'd be really funny if Atlantica went under Pokemon rules. So bringing Thunder would just like annihilate everything. Let's find out.
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Not that ambitious? Shame.
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Oh, guarded trove, high value. I think what I'm gonna do, because this is a teaming room, is I'll kill every enemy in here.
Thunder!
Oh. This is fine, that's why I added these.
Fire!
I'll kill every enemy in here to hopefully give me cards to
Freeze!
proceed through the rest of the levels with.
Thunder!
Also, it seems I also forgot to put healing spells in this deck as well. So, oops.
Fire! Freeze!
So Shiny Elixirs don't restore health.
Fire! Fire!
Just gotta sneak a single healing spell in there. This is fine. Didn't quite get to it. That'll do. Luckily, that is why I added multiple elements to my Thunder Spamming deck.
Thunder! Heal! Thunder!
Nice enemy type from Scary Place,
Thunder!
not Atlantica.
Heal!
Let's try and make that low health noise go away because I don't like it.
Thunder! Heal!
I was gonna say, I wonder if anybody ever like listens to a low health thing for fun, but then I remembered that like when I play D&D, when one of my players' health gets too low, sometimes I'll play like a Pokemon low health thing the whole time. And They're like, Ariel, please stop. And I'm like, consider healing yourself. And then I wonder why I have no players left. They just don't understand my vision.
Thunder. Thunder. Thunder.
In terms of like actually making it listenable,
Fire.
just filtering like a normal theme is probably way better.
Freeze. Freeze.
But like obnoxious beeping is very memeable.
Fire.
And sometimes it's important to do it for the meme. I kinda wish that this did the Persona thing where
Thunder.
if you like got into a fight near
Thunder.
another thing, they would just join the fight.
Thunder.
Where sometimes it's like a really dangerous, nasty scenario to find yourselves in, but other times it's just like, oh, fast farming.
Fire. Fire.
Get that thing, get rid of these things.
Freeze.
Oh, wiggle room, nice.
Thunder. 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 Thunder.
Oh, key to rewards, nice, nice. That means when I find the appropriate door in this world, I can just open it. Super airdrop, I've already gotten one of those, that was the thing.
Thunder.
I used it in the last world, and that's how I got, I wanna say Fire Drive.
Thunder. Thunder.
Oh, another level, love to see it. Just 8 more levels so I can hit 1,000 CP.
Thunder. 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 Fire. Fire.
Almighty darkness. Ominous. It seems like everybody who wanted a piece of me, got electrocuted to death. Let's find out what a premium room is. These ones are annoying, they absorb lightning.
Fire.
Luckily they explode just fine.
Freeze. Freeze. Fire.
Oh, thank you for the hydration.
Thunder. Thunder.
So I guess if I'm in Atlantica, hydrating is just as simple as, like, breathing.
Fire. Fire.
Unfortunately, Atlantica has a 1 aerial limit and it's already been taken by somebody else. Very tragic. I just pulled in that P thing, whatever it was.
Heal. Fire. Freeze.
Presumably it's whatever makes these rooms premium. Oh, it gotta be this, I guess. Oh, it makes my cars premium. I don't like that. I don't want them to be premium. I don't like it editing my deck without my consent. I gotta fiddle around with this interface, put everything back. Okay.
Thunder. Thunder. Fire. Fire. Freeze.
Fire kinda sucks.
Freeze.
Just doesn't want to hit anything.
Fire. Fire. Freeze. Freeze. Fire.
Okay, I need exactly one for that. Four or higher. Here's a four. Five or higher. Here's a five. Any red car, key to memory. Got so many of these, I may as well spend one. Ah, Sebastian. Oh, woe is me. Is something wrong? Or are you just like this? Everything's wrong. Okay, he's just like this. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Please use this time to refill your beverage, go to the bathroom. Anything that would take you about 5 minutes. I will see you shortly. I return. Everything is wrong. Somebody stole the king's magic trident. Atlantica is defenseless. And to top it off, Princess Ariel has disappeared. I'm right here. King Triton's worried sick. He won't leave his chambers. Sounds like the kind of king who will do absolutely nothing during a crisis. And probably shouldn't be king. Ariel, she disappeared. I'm right here. Sora's forgotten me. Ariel's friend Flounder would know where she is, but now he's gone too. Wait a second, didn't we just see Ariel? Yep, but she didn't look real happy to see us. Hey, wasn't she carrying something when we saw her? You don't think that was the trident? The trident is like 5 times her size. It couldn't have been. You know, maybe it was. But that means Ariel stole it. There must be some explanation. The explanation is that Ariel stole it. Oh, Ariel, where have you run off to this time if anything happens to you? It's all my fault. Sebastian, you are the world's worst guardian. What if she ran away because of my nagging? King Triton will banish me forever. He'll pop his shell if we tell him Ariel took the trident. Guess we'll have to get to the bottom of this ourselves. Presumably that's where I want to go. Shock impact. Nice. Foaming Blizzara. Also nice. Exactly 9. There she is. This is all my fault. I wish I'd never taken Daddy's trident. I should have known things would turn out this way. She did steal it. Pipe down, somebody's coming. No need to worry, child. You did the right thing. Why, I'm sure you'd do anything in the world to help your little friend. Poor Flounder's been swept away to the human world. That's no place for a little fish. Why, if we don't hurry, you might not have a friend to save. No. Besides, you're not giving me the trident, dear. Just letting me borrow it for a bit. You can save Flounder, lend me the trident, and I'll help you. Okay, I believe you. But Daddy needs the trident to defend Atlantica. You know, while he's moping in his room like a proper leader does under crisis. I just need time to think, Ursula. Well, it's all the same to me. Just remember, your little friend is dodging fish hooks while you twiddle your fins. Well, you can come see me once you've made up your mind. What am I going to do? Don't trust Ursula, that's for sure. How long have you been listening? Oh, long enough. It doesn't matter, Sora's right, don't trust that sea witch. I like how in this continuity they literally have no clue who Ursula is. They're just like, ah, she's clearly evil. Ursula's up to no good, it's written all over her face, the way that she respected your boundaries and gave you time to think. Then we all agree. The problem is I don't have a clue where Flounder is. Ursula's the only one who can help. What about us? Let's go talk to Ursula. You shouldn't have to do this by yourself. Really? You'll come with me? You bet. I know how it feels to have friends in trouble. Let's get going. That's where the key to truth goes, so I imagine that the, key to rewards goes somewhere over here. So let's try and use that. Five or higher. Got a fair number of calm bounties. Another thunder. 6 or higher. This to a guarded trove.
Thunder! Thunder!
Yeah, about those guards.
Thunder! Thunder!
But yeah, they didn't last long. Oh no, I didn't want this. Well, this was only a cheap blizzard.
Thunder!
I forgot for a second that these guys are immune to lightning. But not to explosions, so this is fine actually.
Freeze! Freeze!
I should probably heal myself actually.
Heal! Fire!
Going too long without doing that is, a recurring problem of mine. What a bounty that was.
Thunder! Thunder!
Fire and explosions aren't interchangeable, but like, fire as presented in this context kind of is a bit explosive because it bursts. That said, what you think of as an explosion typically is going to be like a concussive explosion.
Fire!
That happens to also give off heat that might set something on fire. Unless it's specifically like a burst of fire, at which point it is actually just heat instead of concussive force, which is also a type of explosion. Exactly 2 plus key to rewards, let's go. Like there's a Venn diagram between fire and explosions. Quake. It's an FPS I actually haven't played. Okay, so there's a good thing here that I just don't see a thing for. I think there that I don't see a thing for, but I think I've been there. Have I played Do? I haven't. Do? Yes I have. Or Doom? Yes I have. Specifically, I've played like the remakes. The originals I played a bit of, but I don't think I ever finished them. What about Wolfenstein? I played a bit of Wolfenstein. But, like, I couldn't figure out how to get through the level. So I kind of dropped that one. That, and I think at some point I had, like, no health, and there was, like, no health pickups. So I just couldn't, like, get through because, like, I couldn't get through certain segments without taking at least some hits, and then I get nickel and dime to death. My, so many guests. Have you made up your mind, my dear? You and Halo, there's literally one level in, like, all of Halo that's possible to get lost in. The rest are just corridors. Have you made up your mind, my dear? I'll do anything for Flounder, but I need proof that I can trust you. You said that we could save... You said that we could save Flounder if I gave you the trident. Well, prove it. But of course, see? Ariel. I knew something was fishy. Everything's fishy here, Donald. There you have it. If you want your precious Flounder back, give me the trident. Where does she put Flounder? Like, how is she gripping him right now? Aha, mine at last. Now I'm ruler of all the seas. I like how when Flounder got kidnapped, the solution was, oh, just give Ursula the trident and not tell Father that one of his subjects has been kidnapped by a sea witch. He would have just exploded her into calamari. He didn't really need provocation. Let Flounder go. But of course, I'm feeling generous. Which reminds me, you always wanted to see other worlds, didn't you? Well, dear, I know just the world to send you to. Unfortunately, this will be a one-way trip. I really hope this isn't near the mechanics from Kingdom Hearts 1 where you... Okay, we're skipping to the big one. This is fine. The sea and all of its denizens shall grovel before me. I was like, I really don't want to do... the cauldron again. Anything but the cauldron, please. Actually, the cauldron was better than Winnie the Pooh. At least once I knew what to do with the cauldron, it stopped being, like, impossible and just started being a chore. Oh, Mickey, I wonder what he does. Yeah, I can work with that. I can't actually see a deck of cards for her, but I wonder if she's still technically got one that I could be clearing out. Oh, she's just left. Okay. None of that. Please and thank you. Mickey cars are kind of OP, just a little. By a little, I mean like a lot, actually. Was that the entire boss fight? Huh, I guess it was. Alright. Oh, new sight. Ars Arcanum. Bring a flurry of blows upon the enemy. 3 attack cards, total value 1 to 6. Interesting. Please don't be mad, Ariel. Ursula tricked me. Flounder, as long as you're safe, nothing else matters. Now all we have to do is return the trident and everything will be okay. We'll just gaslight Daddy into thinking that he misplaced it. But what if the king finds out that you're the one who took it in the first place? I'll be grounded for ages. Ariel, where are you, girl? If you can hear me, please answer. It's Sebastian. He came all this way just to find me. Yep, and when he does, you're gonna get it. Hey, I know. Why did you just say Ursula stole the trident? And you got it back all by yourself, then there's no way you'll get in trouble. I just had the same idea. But I can't do that. I don't want to get in trouble, but I can't lie. Not about this. I know I haven't made the best decisions lately. It was a mistake to take the trident, but I made that mistake because I wanted to help you, Flounder. I'm proud of that. Blaming somebody else would mean giving those feelings up, so I'm going to tell the truth. She's right, Sora. Honesty's the best policy. Hey, I was just kidding. Great, now I'm the one in hot water. Oh, I bet this is the room that I couldn't get into earlier. Where's Riku? I thought he'd be here waiting for us. Guess he finally got fighting out of his system. I sure hope so. Maybe Riku doesn't want to fight with you anymore. Careful, you never know where Riku might be hiding. Now what, Vexen? Looks like your little toy isn't taking orders anymore. Now, Larxene, shouldn't we give Vexen the benefit of the doubt? Riku could be hiding as part of some elaborate plan to lure Sora deeper into the castle. Oh, of course. Why didn't I see it before? Terribly sorry, Vexy. I guess I'm just used to you and your research being more funny than formidable. Hold your tongue. Oh, are you sulking? Haha, you're so half-baked. You're hardly one to talk, you conniving little... That will do. Marluxia. Your project has failed, Vexen. Do not disappoint us again. Disappoint you? You presume too much, number 11. I am number 4, and I will not stand for your snide remarks. Yes, you will. This castle and the girl Namine have been entrusted to me. Defy me and you defy the organization. Unless I'm mistaken, treason is a capital crime. This is absurd. In the name of the organization, I pronounce your project a failure. This lapse must be reported to the Superior. No, please don't, I beg of you, leave him out of this. I will, under one condition. What condition? You must eliminate Sora personally. Eliminate him? You refuse? No, I mean, but why would you want that? Just do it. He'll really do it, you know. He's got no choice. Neither do we. What to do? Your hero is soon to be wiped from existence. He's like, nah, Sora's been fantastic and spamming. That guy doesn't stand a chance. But he made a promise to you, didn't he? Isn't that right, Namine? Yes. The 10th floor already. We've come a long way. And we've lost 10 floors worth of memories. Sora, it's not too late. We should turn back. Now, Jiminy, haven't you ever heard of the sunk cost fallacy? That means if you turn back before getting what you want after spending a lot of stuff, it's all been spent for nothing. No, I can't do that. That'd be breaking my promise. Promise? What promise is that? When we were little, I made a promise to Namine. I told her I'd always keep her safe no matter what. But I didn't remember until I started forgetting everything else. I can't believe I forgot something that important. To be fair, I'm pretty sure that, like, 5-year-olds can't enter into legally binding agreements. I don't think anybody would hold that to you. Hold that against you. But I can still make up for it now. From now on, I'm keeping my promise. Okay, Sora, we understand. If you remember your promise to Namine, then you must still have your important memories. No, what? I want to go talk to Donald. Sora just ran up the stairs on his own. Special promises like yours are meant to be kept. Alright, Hollow Bastion. I hear voices. I wonder who it is. I was gonna say it's probably Beast. Shh, I think something's wrong. But Belle, I don't understand. I came here to rescue you. I didn't ask you to come. And it doesn't matter anyway. I'm not going back with you, so you're wasting your time. Have you lost your mind? How can you stay here with that witch? I've nothing more to say. Now leave before Maleficent finds you. Belle, why? I'm not sure what's going on, but is everything okay? Don't feel bad. There must be a reason she said those things. Keep your sympathy. No one could ever care for a beast like me. Now that I've seen things on the internet, you've got plenty of hands, trust me. Sure wish there was something we could do for him. Hollow Bastion. Oh, I like the doors here. That's a really cool style. Black, gold, purple. I actually really like that. Wow. I'm a sucker for like white gold and black gold.
Thunder! 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 Thunder!
Which basically means that I'm a sucker for like gold because black and white go with everything.
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Okay. I sure hope that these two aren't immune to magic as a whole.
Fire!
They might be immune to magic as a whole. Ah, this is why I have this singular red card. This is gonna take a while. Also, I can pull like a beast card. A Goofy card will also work. Assuming I can actually get Goofy to hit the broadside of a barn. wonder if I should go back to my original mix deck just to deal with these guys. I have to be incredibly careful not to burn my red card, or I can't do anything about this. Actually, that's not entirely true. I can do this. I can just leave. That's probably a dead end. I presume. Two or higher. That was Ariel. Pretty straightforward. Her level went by very, very fast.
Thunder.
Oh no, it's those things again.
Thunder. Heal.
I might need to build like a physical damage deck just to deal with these guys. Yeah, I think what I'll do actually then is I'll go back to my original deck that can spam Strike Raid. If they're gonna be this persistent of an issue.
Here. Here.
Except for the part where I didn't do Strike Raid right. It's been a while since I've used this deck.
Gotcha.
Also, Strike Raid wasn't actually the card I was thinking of. Sonic Blade, that's the one.
This is it. Here. Here. Heal. Heal.
Wait, it's always fun when Ariel's on screen because you get to make a bunch of really cringe-worthy jokes.
Freeze.
Like, oh no, Ariel's missing. Nuh-uh, I'm right here.
Power.
I technically have a bunch of new slides to test out. Almighty Darkness. That sounds like Ally Bones. But I lived. It's gonna be like Almighty Darkness. That sounds like fun.
Take that. This is it. Here. Here. Power. Power.
That's a reward room. I'm sure I'll get another one of those cards in no time. 4 or higher. Let's try and figure out what a white room is. Wait, isn't it just a bunch of white mushrooms? This is fine. Oh wait, there you are. Never mind. Any blue card? A 3 or lower card of any description. And this thingy. Who are you? Did Maleficent kidnap you too? Not exactly, it's a long story. Hey, wait a second. So you've been kidnapped, you don't want to be here? No, I don't. That witch Maleficent forced me to come here. I have no one to talk to. Books are all I have to ease my loneliness. Oh, she just like baby Ariel for real. And then there's him. Oh, I'd missed him so much. You mean the Beast? Then why were you so mean to him before? Yeah, you really hurt his feelings. You don't understand. I can't let him see how I really feel. Why not? It's just that... Oh no, she's coming. Hide, quickly. There's no time to explain. Hide yourselves now. Fun fact, in the original myth, Maleficent is just 100% a victim. / the secret protagonist of the story. Oh, good day, Maleficent. What brings you here? He was here, yes? He risked his life to come and save you. Why'd you reject him? I won't ask for his help. Oh, and why is that? You know very well why. I'm not going to fall into your trap. Then I have no choice but to make you beg for his help. If I could do that, I wouldn't walk anywhere. No, she got away. What should we do? Help her, of course. What else? It's the live-action remake. I thought the live-action remakes were bad. That's what I heard, at least. You don't invest more to Fox Magic and Evil Witch? I mean, I can do that. Like, check this out. See? I can do it too. The Moonsell tries to delete me and then I undelete myself. It's been a little while since I played Extra. I'm kind of like co-pilot, except I actually know how to program. But like, you can't delete me. You try and then I just show back up like, hi. Like here at Microsoft, your consent is implicit.
Heal. Heal. Freeze. Fire. Thunder.
Another black room. Four or higher. What's down here, though? Oh, that's the actual next one. 7 or higher. What are you waiting for? Call to him. No, I won't let you hurt him. Then I shall make you scream. The fool will come running the moment he hears your cries. Enough. The beast isn't the only one you have to deal with. Begone, boy. You have no business here. Unless, of course, you wish to join in the screaming. Yes, when that brute hears your shrieks of terror, he'll come right to me. Don't trouble yourself, Maleficent. I'm here. You came? No, you mustn't. I told you to leave this place. Leave me alone. I never want to see your face again. Belle, what an awful thing to say. Alright, if that's how you feel, I understand. My hideous form was punishment for being selfish and unable to love. Transformed into a monster loved by no one, I only became more selfish. And then I met you, Belle. You're the only person who accepted me. Little by little, you warmed my cold, selfish heart. The memories of our days together are my most precious. I won't cast them aside. So, I'm sorry, but I can't leave you here, even if you hate me for it. Consider it my final selfish act. But why? Well, I never dreamed such ugliness could hide so beautiful a heart. This calls for a change of plan. Beast, I shall claim your heart instead of Belle's. He's a princess now. No, please. Well, so much for the change of plan. Belle's heart it is. It seems her cold words spoke little of her true feelings. Haha, she loves you, Beast. I can feel it shining in her heart. You fiend, release Belle's heart at once. Where is she? She went that way. That's the way the shadows fled. What are you doing here? No time to talk. We gotta go after them right away. You'd help me? You bet. After what you just said, we gotta help you. Let's go get Belle's heart back. Right. Eat a truth. It presumably goes like this. All the weird little greebles, kind of like in the way, are annoying me just a little bit, but that's probably the point. Four or higher. Just to a guarded trove. Like in the original, there was like more room to run around, so it wasn't that big of a deal. In the original, the really annoying part was like all the doors you had to like close and open over and over. I just club him over the back of the head. There. will say the caster types are faithfully annoying to the original the way they float out of range.
Heal.
I can't get too mad at it.
Here.
It's kind of my own fault for going all in on a deck that is kind of shut down if you aren't weak to magic. What over here? Cross/plus. Happy cloud noises. Not actually sure how to deal with these. Can't remember exactly what they did in the original. I want to say it was like you had to do a certain amount of damage in one combo. Or were these even in the first game? I vaguely remember them being like a challenge type thing. Okay, any red card, any zero card. And let's switch over to the Zantetsuken deck. Which now has like 100 CP of, like, budget, but whatever. You've done well to make it this far, Beast. As your reward, I'll tell you why Belle rejected you. My dark magic requires hearts of utmost beauty. Belle was perfect. Deep in her heart, her love for you shone with uncommon radiance. But she guessed my plans. By denying her love for you, she put her heart beyond my reach. But she saved me. She protected me. She couldn't hide how she really felt. I've heard enough. Release her heart, Maleficent. If you don't... Ha ha ha. Witch, do not try my patience. Don't you realize why I'm telling you all this? Did you think it was out of kindness? I did it to erase your doubts. Now your heart is beginning to shine with love for Belle. The perfect fuel for my dark magic. I shall have your heart too, monster. Not if we stop you. You dare to challenge me, pitiful fools. Let's just try and get our health a little bit higher than it is. She does a lot of damage for not being in contact with me. I remember in the original, what you did was you would like climb on top of her and just like blast her head. A lot with like lightning and such. By the original, I mean like Kingdom Hearts 1. I don't appreciate her breaking my healing. Granted, she probably didn't do it seeking my validation. I don't see a deck, so I wonder if this is like doing anything at all.
Heal. Heal.
Like if there's like an invisible deck, or if
Heal. Heal.
I'm just throwing cards at nothing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
I presume I'm throwing cards at nothing.
Heal. 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 Ha. 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 Ha.
Yes, so in hindsight, not the kind of boss Tencent Tetsukin is great against, but if there's an organization member behind her, maybe I'll have fun with him. Not that I'm not having fun with her, just like a different kind of fun. The kind of fun where somebody else is having no fun.
Heal.
For how fast those shockwaves come out, I kind of feel like they do a bit too much. Both stunning me and dealing a bunch of damage.
Heal. Heal.
It's fine though, I'm choosing it right back. Oh, I don't know what Mickey will do, but it'll probably be useful. It usually is.
Heal.
I wonder if she's only stopping because I'm so far away from her. I mean, why wouldn't Mickey have my trust? Every time he shows up, he makes things substantially better for me.
Heal.
It's like, ah yes, let me turn off the boss's annoying gimmick. Or like, put them directly into their vulnerable phase.
Heal.
I don't know why, I truly don't know why, but something about this fight has reminded me vividly of Neopets. Like specifically that one like spooky carnival thing.
Heal.
I think it's like the aesthetic,
Heal.
like the green fires and such. I haven't played Neopets in an exceedingly long time, and I'm likely to never do it again, but like, those memories are there.
Heal.
Despite being playing Chain of Memories, where losing your memories is kind of a thing.
Here. Here.
Yeah, I got her down to 1 health bar. Speaking of other things that like Maleficent can do, that if I could do them, I would never do anything but. Maleficent can turn into a giant, like, powerful dragon. I kind of question why she'd ever turn back at that point.
Heal.
Like, if you got a castle, which she does, you can also have, like, servants. So you don't need to be, like, human-sized to do things. You can just have other people do it.
Heal.
Pretty sure video games aren't canon to Sleeping Beauty. It's like she doesn't need thumbs for anything.
Heal. Heal.
Thank you for contributing, Beast. The food budget? I mean, if she's got a castle, that means she's probably not the person who pays for any of her stuff. That's what peasants and taxes are for.
Heal. Heal. Here.
Now see, now I want a cheeseburger. Now I'm thinking about food, now I'm thinking about like what would hit the spot the most right this very second. And it'd probably be a cheeseburger. I don't like a poutine.
Heal. Heal.
But like, it's always the right time for poutine, so... Ow, ow, ow. Thank you for the apples. These do technically count.
Heal. Heal.
They're not like savory the same way that like a burger is, but like, they do have calories in them. They will keep you alive. Now, speaking of being kept alive, Maleficent is, struggling at that one. Dragon Maleficent. Well, thank goodness. Please forgive me, I had to be cruel to you. But I guess I couldn't hide my true feelings. I'm the one who should apologize. For just a moment I doubted your love. I never want to remember those feelings of despair. Then don't. Let's replace the sad memories with happier ones, starting now. Belle? There they go with the mushy stuff like he'll... Yeah, we better give them some privacy. Good idea. Let's keep moving. This game isn't rated M. Who are you? That's no way to greet a stranger, Sora. I am Vexen. I've come to collect your debt. Do you owe him something? Of course not. Oh, but you do. You owe me for reuniting you with your former friend. You don't mean... Yes, I'm the one who brought Riku to you. So you're the one... You're the one who's been controlling him. What have you done with him? I see no need to tell you. Why trouble you in your final moments? Yes, load slides. Do it. Come on, try to use it on me. Try it. Oh, he's activated Blizzard Boost. Did I take Jafar out of this deck to make other things fit? I feel like I did.
Gotcha.
With my extra budget, I probably could have put Jafar back in so I could just spam zeros. Oh well.
Gotcha.
As long as I use Sandtestican while there's a card on the bottom, I can just remove it from his deck permanently.
Gotcha.
And if he has 3 of them down there, then I can do it to 3 of his cards at a time. Good times.
Gotcha.
That was the wrong time to use Sandtestican. Whoops. That was also very wrong. But it's okay because I got everything back.
Gotcha.
It's also very important that I destroy his elixir.
Gotcha.
Otherwise he can pull his own cards back. Oh, he's got like 3 elixirs.
Gotcha.
That's problematic.
Gotcha. Here.
Oh, the shield's not just for show. Oh shoot. Well, there's all of his cards back. That's unfortunate. I do not wish to be an ice statue. I should probably just start feeding him. I'll keep the Sandtestican in the gun. In case an opportunity like that presents itself. A Sandtestican in the chamber, I should say. Heatlight basically is a gun. Just that shoots like magic instead of bullets. I don't know where I'm going with this metaphor. Get down from up there. Oh, well, there's all of his stuff back again. Get rid of those. I'd really like it. Yeah. I was gonna say, I'd really like to get another Sandtestican prepared before he gets another freeze off. Gonna use it. Even if I don't Sandtestican his entire deck, I feel like Sandtesticaning his slights is worth doing. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts is just explicitly a crossover between Disney and Kingdom Hearts. Like, they don't even try to hide it. Like, in the first game, you find, like, Cloud and Leon and Squall and what their faces are, like Yugi. So if memory serves, as the series goes on, they, like, start phasing out Final Fantasy elements. Presumably because Disney doesn't like playing nice. Yes, and Tetsukin is from Odin in Final Fantasy, and it's basically like the instant kill skill. And in this card game, it makes it so that any cards interrupted with it can't be drawn again. Unless they use an elixir, which I actually just blocked, funnily enough. It was totally out by accident, but like if it works, it works. An elixir of my own. There we go. Stop from running. There we go. And Mega Ether. Splendid. As expected, you don't die so easily. As if I'd ever lose to you. You'll yet have your chance. As we thought, I delved deep into your memory. There were a lot of foxes for some reason. And look what I found. This is a card crafted from memories locked in the other side of your heart. If you want to fight me for real, then step into the world within this card. Come back. Other side? What's he talking about? A single world card. Interesting. Another side of your heart? Is that where the stuff you forget goes? I got a bad feeling about all this. We should be careful. Is it just me, or has Vexen finally lost it? Now he's done something really rash. What now, Axel? The show's over if Sora finds out about the other side. If he just passes through without catching on, we can patch things up later. But if not, let Naminé handle this. In the meantime, Axel, you know what to do. Also, fun fact, Padme Amidala is technically a Disney princess as of the merger. No, I don't. If you can spell that out for me. Rid us of our traitor. Done. There's no taking that order back later. That guy was just raring to do some team killing. A card made of memories from the other side of your heart. I wonder what it does. Only one way to find out. Besides, it's the only card we have left. You think there are memories on the other side of my heart? Kinda scary. If you ask me, Vexen's waiting to spring a trap on us. Alright. We're gonna call it there for the night. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it each and every time. The next scheduled stream is going to be on Sunday. The game is going to be Pikmin 2. Presumably, I'll be finishing Chain of Memories next Monday. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night. I hope to see you again. Good night.